In Germany, there's statistics in this book which talk specifically about how wages were lowered precipitously with no strikes, no protest. The workers took it, and that's why I'm saying even if you take, they still nothing emerged, and that's 10 years from 1935 to 45. Yes, there was no fight back. They may have grumbled. So they actually drove the wages down, the benefits down, and the capitalist rate of profit went up, the consolidation of small number of big corporations especially. Okay? Kim, you want some more? Let him finish. And the brother then Kevin.
Okay, I know it's late, but I read about this lady, the author, I think that's her name, Ayn Rand or something like that, it was called Atlas Shrugged. Apparently her theories and things are kind of coming back in style now. I don't know if it's just among the conservatives, but I was just wondering what you made of that. And my last question is, what is the difference between totalitarianism and fascism? So I thought they were kind of along the same.
Ayn Rand, yeah, people read that in the 50s. She was a right-wing reactionary, anti-communist. Her popularity comes and goes. I'm sure that, I don't think it's a mass popularity. I'm sure the conservatives are rediscovering rugged individualism. You know, anyone can succeed in America if you just try, and the hell with the rest. Yeah, Atlas Shrugged is her famous book. Totalitarianism, what we're trying to clarify here is that where he said a police state or a military dictatorship can be very repressive, can kill people, but it doesn't demoralize and destroy an entire consciousness of the country, of the class, of the working and poor people. And so, yes, they could have a military dictatorship, but they couldn't drop wages 40% in Germany for 10 years and led people into a slaughtering war and had no protests except that they had demoralized the working class in its entirety. And fascism was not
is
just...
Is it demoralized now?
Germany?
No, I'm talking about are we at that point right now?
No, they demoralized them in a different way, and we'll talk about how that was demoralized.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't seen the fight yet here. We're seeing it, and for those of us who are conscious and aware, what we call class conscious, or just militant, ones who are still militant, Derek, yeah, we're very upset. And when will this ever, when are they going to fight back?
How do you demoralize somebody to the point where they just sit there and just let you do anything?
Well, we're going to talk about how the Communist Party and the Socialist Party contributed to that. Hitler could not have taken power except by the mistakes, and not just mistakes on the Communist Party's behalf, but the betrayal of the Socialist Party. And that's what happens. If you're in a relationship and someone betrays you, they don't just, I mean, that tears your heart out. Personally, if you're in a relationship, you find you've been betrayed, geez, that you could be demoralized for the next 10 years and not want to talk to anybody, right? And that's what we're talking about, but on a millionfold scale. That you don't want to get involved anymore with people, and this was with political activity. I have a few other people, so why don't you hold that gentleman over there, then Kevin.
Yeah, I've always read about Hitler's demise. It seemed like he was brought down spiritually. I mean, his troops froze, the weather just, I've always looked at that the Lord destroyed him.
Well, actually, the Soviet Army, maybe with the Lord's help, the Soviet Army.
His men were froze, his equipment wouldn't work, it was froze.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's you could see spiritual.
Yeah, well, this is a spiritual.
But they didn't stop fighting.
Yeah.
Their troops didn't revive. In the First World War, I got you, Kevin. In the First World War, the troops refused to fight and they joined the revolution. They made a revolution and threw out the Kaiser, who was the king. So the worker, they weren't demoralized or whatever. They overthrew it right in the middle of the war, 1918. That's how the World War I ended. But in Germany, they fought. The troops fought right into downtown Berlin. The Soviet army had to fight right into Berlin to finally capture Hitler's bomb. Then he committed suicide, reportedly. But that's what we're trying to say. It's really irrelevant what Hitler personally felt, but the masses in their military didn't have the will to resist. I mean, in the Vietnam War, a lot of it ended because the U.S. troops didn't want to fight anymore.
Has anybody ever been, did anybody ever see him dead?
They claim that, and there's a lot of dispute about that. Okay, I wanted Kevin, then the young lady, and then back to Kim.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once you make a comment about the swing kids during the era, and also George Nelson, you know, there was some resistance against.
There was resistance. What I say, there wasn't organized mass resistance, and not among the working class who could have shut the country down because they were in the factories or in the army. Yes, there were youth resistors. There was the White Rose group that were all captured and beheaded. There were several tens of thousands who were beheaded. They used the guillotine, by the way. The Nazis reinstituted the guillotine in secret beheadings. But those were individuals or small groups of students. There was one known protest when the wives of, or husbands of, non-Jewish wives or husbands of Jewish spouses actually protested and got their spouses released from concentration camps and allowed to leave the country, of several thousand people. It's the only demonstration that is known to have happened during the Nazi regime, 1942. But other than that, the resistance is minimal, yes. And that's because they were demoralized. But let's move, because we have a few more points. Yes?
I was wondering if it would be fair to say, are we entering into that kind of a concept where you were talking about being demoralized within the workers, within the plant, because I'm an auto worker. And inside that, you know, how we are just not fighting back, you know, we don't really be concerned about what's going on across the street at the local until it's a threat about the job, you know. We might be losing our job, and then you'll see people attend union meetings, but as long as they're cutting like today, we work for nothing. Today we don't get time and a half anymore. They took that away. They took away the 15-minute team meeting. Then they come back and took away the 5-minute team meeting that they just keep taking away, and we're not doing anything. But I'm wondering if it got to the point to where they were threatening those jobs again, like you said, and then we would feel oppressed and we would begin to react. You know.
I don't think we're at the point. Well, first of all, the instability, there's no fight back, you're right. It's a problem. We wish there was a fight back. And so people are personally upset, demoralized, or depressed about it. But the country is not in an unstable position, and our organizations haven't been destroyed. The organizations haven't been destroyed. The Union Hall is still there, see. And so I would say even though you and I was an auto worker for many years, can't believe what they're doing, but they're not doing, yet we're not really, I would say, anywhere near to the point that we're talking about here.
Well, is it gonna take us 1,000
Yes,
years?
no, it won't take 1,000 years, but they haven't driven us
Anywhere
back.
near, I mean, are we?
And we haven't instituted the fight yet. There hasn't even been a fight.
I mean, but why
Serious
not?
fight back on
Why
national
not? Like
level.
Sandra
Yeah, that's
said,
what I'm saying.
they're
Well,
closed plants.
That we
they're
can't
stripped
predict.
and stripped and
Yeah.
stripped. What's left?
But we can't predict where that happens, where mass psychology happens, and we'll probably be looking here and it'll happen over there. And the main thing is, will we be ready to respond to it? But the other thing is that the ruling class, the rich, probably won't finance and militarize the fascists groups until they start to really worry that the fight back is getting out of hand. So that's why it's still a period now. Yes, we're in retreat, but we aren't pulverized, we haven't been atomized, and the fight back is still there.